It is 6:46 at the Rosewood. We'll go ahead and get started on the work session. You'll notice that we're a little bit fuller up here than normal for a work session. This month, we're going to go ahead and do a joint work session with Planning Commission. They have done a ton of work on some additional things, accessory dwellings, core commercial, political signs, tiny homes, to name a few. We're going to go ahead and work through those all together as a team, and so that everything is recorded. We are all up here in front of the camera, and we can all have access to microphones, so you should be able to hear everything, whether you are here tonight or you are at home listening to this later. So I will go ahead and stop talking and let you go ahead and lead off with the first subject.
In case anybody doesn't know who I am, I'm Jennifer Visage. I work with the Appalachian Council of Governments, and I have a contract with the City of Liberty to do planning and zoning. And one of the things with my contract is to update the zoning ordinance. It has not been updated. I don't even know the last time it was updated. My planning commission at one point had Jared and John on it as well, and between them and the ones we have now, they have done a great job on working very hard on getting this done. And I sent the mayor a few topics that we have discussed in detail. Those are, I don't want to say they're the most important things, but there's some things that needed to be looked at a little bit more. So we're just going to go through those, and I don't know how you want to, do you just want them to tell me comments? And Planning Commission, y'all comment in anytime you want to as well. So the first one was accessory dwellings. Currently, your zoning ordinance doesn't allow, I don't say they don't allow, they're just not listed as a permitted use or a conditional use to do accessory uses for like dwellings, like a mother-in-law suite or just another dwelling behind your house in any kind of single-family house. We did things like we said they have to be no more than 800 square feet, no more than 2 bedrooms, has to look kind of like the house, like a single-family house. It can't be a tiny home, it can't be a shed. It's got to be something that meets building code still. One of the biggest things that we came up with was, can it be rental or not? Planning Commission, for the most part, said they can't see why we couldn't allow it to be rental as well. So that could be, but we'd have to discuss tonight if y'all are good with that, and also Airbnb, short-term rentals, that kind of thing too. Do y'all have any questions about accessory dwellings for me or the Planning Commission? Yeah, we did look up the code. It would be 2 people per bedroom would be the maximum.
Did anyone on the Planning Commission have anything like negative to say about it, or was it pretty much all in?
I think it was all in.
Okay.
I think it was all in for that one. And it would only be for single-family houses. Not, we're not going to have one behind a multi-family or a duplex or anything like that. So, any questions?
Did you define the bedroom?
No. 2 people per bedroom?
Yeah, so the bedroom is defined as...
I did not.
Does not have... Does it have to have a closet? Does it have to have a...
We do not define that, but it would have to. It has to meet code. So code would be, if you want a bedroom count, it would have to have a closet. It would also have to have its own kitchen, its own bathroom, and its own utilities as well. It cannot go off of the main house's utilities.
Do we have that defined for residential rentals currently?
No. That should be off. So it's defined bedroom. If no one has anything else, I'll go on to the next. Sorry, I'm not used to the microphone. The next thing on the thing was sheds. Mostly it's not that we're not going to tell people they can't have sheds. It was that they don't meet building codes. That means they cannot live in them permanently. It cannot be a permanent, any kind of permanent living dwelling. Because they don't, and I have defined shed in here. Shed is something, I'm not going to get officially into it, but it doesn't have insulation. It doesn't have a bedroom, a bathroom. It probably only has one exit entrance, and it's probably for fire and safety reasons. I mean, life and safety reasons as well. It would not be. So they can have sheds as accessory uses, just not as any kind of living. Any questions on that one? I did mention John.
You said as long as it's not insulated. But if I insulated it, could I live in a shed?
It would still have to meet all the building codes. The insulation is not the only thing that's going to fall under. It's going to be a lot of the other things. And the life and safety comes into that. If our building inspector comes in and says life safety does not get met, he will not give you a permit or a certificate of occupancy.
I have a question. Does the shed have to have its own power source, or can someone run an extension cord from the house to the shed?
I've seen that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Constantly, not just for I'm using it today. Or
You mean like for a shed for accessory use?
yeah.
I would say code-wise, no. We can always
Does that need to be in there?
that sounds like more like a city code at that point. Or not city code, but building code. Yeah. Which y'all follow the International Building Code, so I would say no.
You could probably run something from the one house to the shed.
You mean share the...
Yeah, share it, but you couldn't run. I mean, I'm sure you could probably use it for a few hours. If you're trying to use something, but not, it would be something that would be
Permanent.
Because I think, don't quote me on this, but the power companies will let you have a share one for sheds or stuff, I think, right? I'm almost certain on that.
So we're saying no living quarters. When you described it, you said the word permanent living quarters.
Yes.
What about temporary living
Well, that's any kind of living quarters.
So
Any kind of...
no living quarters.
No living quarters.
Real quick,
Sure.
number 7 says converted storage buildings will not be allowed on accessory dwellings.
Yes. Yes.
Kind of tag on what you have, it's log in, so we wouldn't allow these to come up to code.
Yes. It would have to be some kind of, not a single family home, but in the dwelling.
I don't know if you asked that question, although if you brought it to code
Yeah.
enforcement, yes, you would be able to, I guess.
Yeah. I think we list that in accessory uses too, that no sheds, no tiny homes, no modular homes, no mobile homes,
RVs and campers
and RVs and campers too.
for 6 months while they're building a house.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that one. Yep. Any other questions about sheds? So the next one is one of the big ones, core commercial. As you know, the current zoning ordinance has a lot of restrictions in the core commercial, down to a percentage of retail or service industries, how far away sales of alcohol can be. So the Planning Commission made a decision to change that back to, well, I don't know what it was way before that, but to change it to a lot of allowed permitted uses. Any kind of retail, there's no percentage and there's no restrictions on sales of alcohol. I don't know if y'all had a chance to look at the list, but if there's something else that I've missed, let me know. I know that Hester, who couldn't be here tonight, wanted, no, that was you. What was that? Butcher shops. Thank you. I could not think of the word. Butcher shops is one of the things added. There was a lot of retail a lot of service uses, offices, lawyers, doctors, whatever y'all want down there. We don't want limited anymore. Bo brought up maybe tattoo parlors as well. The only thing that I would say about tattoo parlors is make sure that it meets not the state regulations, because they don't have their own license and stuff, but also their location. There's certain locations that a tattoo parlor has to be away from. You can do that, do you know off the top of your head? I know one of them's a church. One's any kind of thing to do with schools or kids, daycares and stuff like that. So that would be the only thing that would be a condition, is make sure that those are met. I swear there's something about alcohol, but I may be wrong.
Isn't the alcohol so far away from the church?
Yeah, so I guess that follows.
Well, where you all it was like that in my comment, I don't think it's like that anymore.
And then the ordinance we discussed, it's the square, I think Councilman Whitaker, business, we talked about it a while back.
Because we classify as adults.
Adult, yes.
Yeah.
So I know the churches and schools.
Then the radius will cover the entire, one will cover the entire district.
Yeah.
One thing that can't be here is playground.
Oh, yeah.
Just regular playground. The alcohol thing is they can't supposedly, although I've heard there's some theory that the two are inextricably linked. The person receiving the tattoo cannot be impaired by alcohol.
Okay. Got to be very.
I'm not sure how well that's enforced.
I don't even know how that's enforced, like in Las Vegas or something.
Says 1,000 feet of a church playground.
Thank you. So that would be the only thing the taxi drivers, besides getting their license, but everybody's got to get licensed for different things. So, I'm going to go ahead and jump to the other part of the core commercial, which is the residential units. As you'll probably know, there's residential units on the first and second floor that exist right now. In the current zoning ordinance, first floor is not allowed. But I guess these things are grandfathered in. We know of at least 4 that are on the first floor. They are treated differently in the zoning ordinance. Second floor, you can kind of do whatever you want residential-wise. On the first floor, you have to be the owner of the business has to live there. So they can't rent them out. Yeah. So
How long is the ordinance say except that you can't have first floor residential, that you're grandfathering people in?
there was no deadline. There was no deadline. It was just, we just assumed it because they were there before or after, before the zoning ordinance was written, I guess.
Was it?
Yeah. Well, we don't know. We have no. Yeah. There was never any.
We're grandfathering people that we don't really know.
Yes. So what they have proposed, the Planning Commission has proposed to treat both first and second the same way. Because the second floor, you don't have to be the business owner. So we would allow them to rent if they wanted to. And they also, the majority of the Planning Commission agreed with short-term rentals.
I don't.
Well, that would be in the rear.
That's all.
The one thing about the first floor, the residential would be in the rear. It cannot be frontage on the front road.
What percentage has to be commercial, like
If there was
retail?
there is one, but they have to have separate entrances. This is for first or second floor. It has to have a separate entrance. They have to be separate from the business, and more parking for them. That's really about it. The only thing we said was if the business on the first floor left, we're not going to kick the people out, but we're going to give them at least 12 months to either try to get another business in or they're going to have to leave because it makes the residential the primary use at that point. But we're not going to just kick them out. We're going to give them 12 months. Unless a business comes in and that's null and void. So just don't want the front empty and the back.
In one of the worst owner can't leave the premises and just use the residential as back of the business.
And like I said, the majority like the idea of having short-term rentals. I know that one of the property owners down there, that's what he wants to do is do short-term rentals on the first floor. So right now, I have to say no to him because he's not the one living there. I don't know who came up with that. It's kind of a little strange because I know other cities that have first floor and both people live in my building, you know, it doesn't matter. Because not a lot of business owners are going to live, most likely not, because it's another source of income for them at this point. Do you have any questions about core commercial or the residential in downtown?
So now it says anything top or bottom. Short term's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And no restrictions on retail percentages. What about access front and back?
For the residential or the
Yeah, you
commercial?
said that it wasn't way back when I was on the board. So we talked about how that you shouldn't be able to get from the business.
We have that in there, it's going to be separate. They have
When
to go.
somebody owns it, you tell me I can't go from my business to my residential, I gotta go out and around the building and come back in. Just making sure.
Yeah.
That's the intent.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta think all the way through. So,
Well, you're gonna have to have some kind of bomb or something.
yeah, but the firewall can have to work.
I don't think.
Give me an example of short-term rental in a building such as something.
The candy store wants to do it. He wants to have and that's where yours comes in because I don't understand how he's going to do it because he wants you to be able to live in the candy store. So I don't know what John is saying if that's going to work. But he wants to rent it out like an Airbnb for a few days. Football games.
They're going to call it the candy suite. It'll be cute.
But that is a good, when I think about the candy store, what John is saying, do you really want the door open for them to get into your inventory?
Especially if you're doing, if somebody's trying to.
Well, he may do a candy suite where he has,
I mean, it's not right, it's not our problem. I mean, you can say that, but it's not. It's up to the right. It's up to you.
yeah.
If you're allowing your renter to access your business,
Yeah, that's up to them.
don't call us. Yeah.
If there was a
We want them to call
for
you.
a closing game or something, they'd close the whole store and rent it out for the weekend for somebody to stay there and live in the candy store, basically.
And maybe his candy suite is just, he's going to have candy in there. And he's going to make it pink and he's going to, I don't know his plans.
I would not be surprised.
You're currently living back
In the candy store, no, not right now.
No, we do not want to do what you just said. We don't want to give them access and close the whole store, you know. That's the thing, our purpose of commercial.
When I'm probably for like a weekend. Let's say really that's up to them. They decide to close down for the weekend. They don't have to open. They don't technically have to open. Bo could say, hey, I'm going out of town and go to New Orleans and he closes the bar. He doesn't have to be open. And he can turn around and rent that weekend. You still have a business there, but you can technically close at certain times. So what I'm saying is, when your Clemson game come in, you can technically close that candy store down and say, hey, I'm renting out for the whole weekend. We're not going to be able to be public, but it's going to be rented for the weekend. I don't know if they'll do that. I was just saying that would be the only way that would make sense to me.
I think the front of it, short-term rental.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
I mean, that was.
Again, it's up to
We're
them.
getting very specific.
It's up to them. I mean, if they want to
I would
make
think,
access.
to me, I would think you have to make that back. It would have to be like a certain amount of square foot. It would have to really be consistent, like it's a room. This is a rental. This back half, like I would have to basically say this back half of my bar is strictly rental only. And the front half, that's the only way. Otherwise, if you're going to leave it open like with the candy store, then it's fair game for however they want to do it. In my eyes, that's just me.
So they want to leave, if they have this candy suite, they want to allow whoever stays in it to have access.
No,
We don't know that for sure. We don't know that for sure.
Yeah, I'm just throwing.
We don't know that for sure.
Sure.
You're right, it's like in Willy Wonka, they might have to squeeze something.
some kind of exercise, it kind of also is at 80%. If you do go this route, make sure that we keep the vast majority of the car, commercial, in my opinion, because that kind of meets the intent of what the comprehensive plan and things like that is. If we don't kind of put some kind of number with it,
Gotta put something.
we could have 10%, retail up front, 90%
True.
back. I think we may want to think about putting a number.
What would be a good number? I mean, just off the top of your head.
Well, we don't even know how big those,
That's true. We don't
We
know.
have
how many-
I would say have to be at least half of the square footage would be fine. It have to at least be, I mean, it can be more, but I would say have to at least be.
Oh, yeah. But we'd have to grandfather in the bigger if we can't.
I'm just saying,
Where?
Oh,
Where?
down there.
Yeah, 'cause you can ask them.
Before.
Yeah, the one
Like,
that
you
before
go
the
back.
Off the candy store, that's not our issue. We're not going
Right,
to.
right.
It only be for these 4 that are already there.
Well, he doesn't have one already?
Yeah, he does.
He does.
Yeah, he
King
does.
store has,
They have,
has a residential area.
yeah, on the back of it.
It's not occupied, but he has some.
Somebody in it.
He's one of the 4.
This bigger. Yeah.
So what Karen is, I understand what Karen's saying. She's saying that we have to grandfather 4 in because we can't ask them to
Move the wall.
move the wall.
Could you give us more percentage?
It's
all
What is other municipalities and things like, because I know we're
But we don't have percentages, and the 2 that I work for, well, Central I don't think has one, but Pickens does, and they don't have a percentage, but they don't allow them on the first floor, even though there's some that are there that we're not supposed to know about. But there's no percentage. But I don't think that's a bad idea.
I think having half would be a good start.
But it's probably going to be more than 50. Anyway.
I'd love to see a number attached to it.
Here's the thing to me, they don't realize what comes with Airbnb, all the fees and stuff. They're not going to make as much money as they do off their candy store. I think it's just something they want to have, but when they really start trying to rent it out, and how many people are really going to rent that, Airbnb, that candy store suite out? There's so many fees nowadays with Airbnb. A lot of people aren't doing as much as they used to, so I think that it would be as much as they can do.
I think it's convenient for them because that back is already set up as residential.
Right.
So if they use it for office, they've got to go do something else with it.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea. I'm just saying I don't think they're going to use it as much as we think they are. But I could be wrong.
So they're only interested in doing like a short-term, not a long-term.
As far as we know.
It would actually help offset some of their costs. I was talking to the black the other day, and she said, that can offset some of the facility costs.
Yeah, I see that.
We were talking about permits and stuff like that.
They'll have to still meet international building code, land safety, get a business license, all fees.
On a short term, is there like a set how long they can be there?
Mary, didn't you answer that one time for us?
I was busy typing away.
Sorry.
No, I heard. I was busy typing away on the topic. You already have short-term rentals in the city because if you look for them, they're there. But you do not have a ordinance that sets a minimum standard for. You don't have an ordinance that prohibits people from sleeping in tiny homes, or sheds right now for short-term rentals. And so I do suggest that I can do sort of a base draft, have a permitting or a registration ordinance that if you're going to do short-term rentals, you have to sign up and then maybe have the same type of inspection from the fire department to make sure that there's fire extinguishers and fire detectors, smoke detectors and that kind of thing. Maybe carbon monoxide detectors. If someone were to die in a fire at a short-term rental and the city said nothing, you're going to get sued. If you do something, you're going to get sued. But you might save some lives that way. So I think that, and with a minimum annual fee, it also gives you an idea of where those are. And, you don't have a hotel or a motel in town, so that's something that the city might be able to help promote. It's like we don't have hotels, but we're very supportive of our short-term rentals. So that's something. So I was just busy typing to the mayor and to Jennifer. I didn't want to interrupt. I think the city should consider a short-term rental ordinance, but you don't have one right now. And with minimum safety standards, I mean, that's really, speaking about size, somebody, was it Gerald or John, was talking about the size of the bedrooms. That's something that is typically in there. Access to, like if you're upstairs, access to immediate street access to get out of it if there's a fire or something. Anyway, that's don't think I'm not paying attention.
So we haven't defined length of time short-term rental. Why?
You can.
I had a dream about this. I've thought about this, that we've had this
We've
conversation.
had this conversation.
And
We had a planning commission meeting, and you were talking about it.
Right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
had
back
that.
in September or October.
Was it 90 days?
We talked about 90 days. We talked about even up to 6 months, but everybody felt that 90 days was a short term.
Yeah.
Generally, I think 30 days is short term because of month-to-month rentals for long term. But that is really something that you all can define short term for yourselves. You don't have to.
Okay.
I would say 90
At least
days.
right now, it's all state.
No, you didn't. No, I was there. Unless I was agreeing with you.
That might have to be separate. We're talking short-term rental versus Airbnb.
It's the same thing.
So when you're going for short-term rentals less than 90 days, because if you're in the candy shop, we're not going to do 90 days, right?
No.
It would be up
It'll be up to.
Up to.
Yeah.
Okay.
No
I
more.
thought you were saying that.
But that would be more of a city code than a zoning thing, right? At that point?
Your zoning would be time, place, and manner,
Yeah.
and then your ordinance would be what are the requirements, what are the restrictions, fire precautions, that kind of thing. It varies city to city. Clemson only allows short-term rentals for 27 days a year because those are the 7 football games and the graduation. So that's something you could do. I will throw something out. It depends on your neighborhoods, and I'm sorry I'm not as familiar with the neighborhoods yet. But some cities have experienced problems where a whole neighborhood flipped over to short-term rentals, and it's like a desert, when weekend rentals are taking place. So it can affect your neighborhood feels. So some cities restrict the number of short-term rentals in the neighborhood, and then they just have a wait list for people that want to go there. But that's all those things you can control right now. The state is itching to step into the short-term rental ballgame, and I don't like it because it takes away control of your local communities. Because every community, your short-term rental needs are going to be completely different than Myrtle Beach. It's so different. I kind of dread the thought of the state ordinance or state law coming in and taking over.
Anything else? Well, we'll look at the percentage at least and see what we can come up with.
Define specifically short term.
Yeah. The next thing was political signs. We did a lot of work on the sign. We didn't do too many changes on the sign language, but on political signs, we had a talk about this at the last planning commission meeting last week about taking out the limit of 25 per candidate. We don't see a reason to burden, because first of all, who's going to sit there and count the 25 of them? Or so we decided we would take that out. And what I was going to say about this is the state, and Mary, you can help me with this, Supreme Court had a ruling about political signs and how they are treated, but our state attorney general has not made his statement about it. So Mary, his state, told us that we really can keep what we have in here. We do not have to follow the Supreme Court right now because our attorney general has not made his feelings known about it yet.
Typically, the safest thing to do is to treat the same, like a temporary sign, the same as a temporary sign. But there are problems with that, and I think the primary example is, and the planning commission will get tired of me talking, so I'll be quick, but is the delivery of this, is real estate signs may need 6 months.
Yep.
Where a church potluck might need a week, or a garage sale might need a week. So to lump all the temporary signs together, I don't know the exact solution, but the closer you can keep them together in terms of time, place, and manner, it's better. And political signs, I'm sort of an outlier on that because I know that political signs, they more closely relate to the time periods that you have for the elections. So you know when the election's over. So you might not know when people sell a house until it makes the newspaper, So it's a very difficult area.
So really all we took out was 25. And the rest we kind of kept the same size. How many days before the election, which I think it's in yours it's 45 days, things like that. Permit, what did we talk about? Removing the permit. I didn't know there was a permit. Did y'all know there was a permit? Okay, I did not know. I'm sorry. I did not know that there was a permit. We thought about removing that as well because 45 days, just taking them after the election. So we took that out as well.
I'm not sure in the history of the city of Liberty that anyone have gotten that fine for leaving at the time. If I'm correct.
No, next week we'll definitely let you know.
The next thing is minimum square footage, and this is on single-family houses. Right now, your zoning ordinance has anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 square feet on the first floor. So if you have a second floor house, that doesn't count. It's got to be 1,000 or 1,500 on the first floor. I have a lot of builders that are building, not the huge builders, but the ones that are coming in and getting a little lots, complain to me when they're doing permits, they're going to have to come get a variance for a property line, or because they can't fit 1,500 square feet or 1,000 square feet. They can if they go up, but they can't if they go across. So we wanted to keep that there, but we wanted to make it all one across the board to be 1,000, and it can be first, second floor, whatever. It can be stretched out. It can be however they need it to be. So it can be, 800 on the top and 200 square foot, just what do you call those things? Open frog, yeah. You can do that. So we thought of just keeping the 1,000 across the board. The 1,500 is a lot. But the only thing I'm going to say about it is, if you do this and agree to the 1,000 square feet, that means tiny homes are out completely. I don't know how anybody feels about tiny homes, but that kind of rules them out at this point. If you put it to a 1,000.
And you say you want to make it 1,000?
Yeah.
So if you build, let's say, most people build 1,000 square feet homes now, but if someone wanted to build a two-bedroom, one-bath house, and that could be 800 square foot house.
Yeah.
So that would be allowed.
Are you saying
I'm just
less than
asking.
1,000? Less than 1,000?
So you're basically saying no, nothing less than 1,000?
They can't apply for a variance. I do have, because of what's going on right now, I have some, we just had one before the zoning appeals. There was no way that he could get, I don't remember if it was 1,500 or 1,000.
Some of the spaces are really.
It's on Azalea Street, if y'all saw the sign. He could not get it in there. There was no way he could get, I think it was just 1,000, there was just no way. So we gave him a variance. So a variance is possible, especially if the lot is small. In case y'all don't know, the Board of Zoning Appeals does variances for things like setback requirements, if they can't fit it, or on this as well. And they graded it to him because there was just no way he could get it in there. Any questions? If not, I'll go to the next one, which it's tiny homes, with what I just said doesn't really work, unless y'all want to talk about it. We didn't, as the Planning Commission, really talk about them too much because of the 1,000 square feet. So I don't know how your council feels about tiny homes.
The only thing we talked about is like a tiny home subdivision.
Yes.
Do we have?
Not tiny homes,
Put something?
like single your house.
Do we have a location where we can put
Not
something?
right now, no, you don't.
We just talked
Where
about.
we can zone for?
You can make a zone. We have to figure out where
You
and
would have
not.
restrictions to keep those just at that location
Yeah.
instead of.
We talked about we had a whole, there's
So-
3 meetings on time.
I can give you an example. The city of Pickens, they don't have a zone, but they have, one of their zones has a special exception because somebody came in and wanted to do a development, and so, but he ended up falling through, but it's still there. If somebody wanted to do it in an RM16, I think you had like 5 acres, and it had to be tiny homes, and they all had to be, look nice. There was certain rules and regulations, and you had to decide if it was going to be treated like a campground where you had something in the middle, not showers. Each tiny home had to have its own bathroom and things still, but like the foundations had to be taken off and things like that. So it is a
Still be
possibility.
able to keep 1,000 square foot, but you would have an exemption
Yes.
if it was zoned for that section.
And you would just have to decide which zones you would put in. That'd be the best way to do it. Because you're not going to probably be able to figure out where you would want it.
And if we're in the city, no, that's another issue. If you bring up something about a tiny home subdivision.
So that's always a possibility of doing special exceptions.
Right, that's what I was saying.
So if that is something y'all are interested in, we can always add that in there. And I can get you the wording from Pickens so you can see it.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I mean, Greer had the one, just, they got a really nice one. Greer.
Greer has one.
They have.
Travelers.
Has
I
it.
think you have it excluded
They
in
can,
certain
yeah.
areas
Mhm.
where they could spread.
The one in Pickens, he geared it toward football games. He geared it toward when the people come and help Blue Ridge, they need a place to stay, things like that. Because short-term rentals is really what it was. Yeah.
Needing outside.
And you can do that, you can make it where it's not someone's living there 365 days a year, too. Almost treating it like a campground.
I can understand that you said you want to replace the single family home, what would be coming from people starting out,
Yeah, no infill.
Yeah.
They don't want to see like a regular house.
Yeah,
People want-
Yeah, I don't think it would do that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that there are some places that people, a lot of retirement people, they like them because they're nice, but they're not huge and small. And like that community, they're real nice, they've got their own coffee shop and stuff. They're not terrible, but definitely something I would.
Okay, I can get y'all the wording of that, and let y'all at least see it. Planning Commission and Council, I'll let y'all see it too. I think I may have shown it to y'all. Did I?
We talked about that.
The next thing is business owners as board members on the Planning Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals, allowing 1 or 2 spots to be, because your business owners are also part of your community as well, and they may have some input. I wouldn't say give all 5 spots to it, but, because a lot of your business owners may not live in town. So allowing them to come in as one of your 1 or 2 spots. Is that an issue with anyone? Or?
Budget trigger to the city, just like everyone.
Now, if they were a business owner and then lost their business, would they have a period of time before they needed to come off the board?
I would say so. We could put something in there about,
Like 90 days or?
something like that. Yeah. That's a good idea.
I just wouldn't want them to still be on the zoning board or planning commission if they've long since had a business inspection.
RVs, Gerald brought this up just a few minutes ago. RVs are not allowed to be used in permanent living quarters. However, they can be stored behind the house or beside the house if it's not right in front, in the front yard, I guess. One of the things that we did bring up was if your house is damaged somehow, you can't live in it, or you're remodeling and you can't live in it, we can give you 6 months to 12 months to be able to live in an RV while you're working on it. We just said that we'd have the building inspector come see what your progress is and give you, we start with 6 months and then give you an extension if needed. But, so, we don't want people to have to find other places to live, especially if there's some kind of, like, another hurricane or something. Any problems with that? And then the last thing I had on there was metal buildings. So your current zoning ordinance has an overlay district that we agreed with the former council to take out because it was not being enforced. It was, it was like the entire city. And it was all kinds of things down to metal buildings is one of the biggest things. I've had, and I know the mayor knows this, had at least one company call me about a metal building as a business. And if I have to go by the zoning ordinances right now, I would have to tell them no, because they're not allowed in the general business. One of the ways we can do it is we can just say metal buildings are allowed on, with upkept and everything in the general business, not in core commercial. However, something that the city of Pickens does is they allow them, but the front is covered with a brick or a stone or something, just to make it look more fitted. Those are your two options with that. Because I don't want to hurt businesses from coming, because that may be the only affordable way they can build a building, but you still want to keep it, I don't want to say pretty, but we don't have a word.
Now, in the city, what percentage are metal buildings currently?
I don't know, but Dollar General, Dollar Tree, Dollar General.
Right. They want to be near Dollar Tree, right?
Yes.
So it would fit the aesthetic of all the there.
So with the metal building situation, so like if some of the buildings downtown are unsavable in the back, if they was to restore the front with brick, would you be allowed to do metal structure in the back?
We talked about core commercial.
Yeah, we talked about commercial not doing anything better.
It's just how
I feel like, I don't know, I like having the brick because you got the rallies, you got, a lot of those are already metal.
Yep.
You have mechanic shop, most of them are going to have a metal front,
Yep.
Spend money just to make a brick doesn't seem just for it to look good. I mean, it don't look bad.
And like the Dollar Tree, the whole front is windows.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Rollins doesn't.
You think, well, there's an area in Dollar General,
huh? So if you just want to allow, that's fine. Just not, maybe not corporate. That's up to the office.
I'm not against metal buildings.
no, I'm not against it. I don't know if I like that to be downtown.
Yeah. And that's core commercial, we can
I mean, I get it probably the cheaper way to repair some of them, but, then you're gonna have 3 brick, and you're gonna have metal brick next to a bunch of brick, and all that.
You can, a lot of cities will have kind of facade requirements where, and it kind of depends on the zoning thing. I mean, like if you're in kind of a mountainy kind of area, there may be stone and wood, but they could be brick. And that's a less expensive way of addressing, maybe an unattractive, what might otherwise be an unattractive method for another building.
Do you then have to implement an architectural board review?
Typically, the first line of enforcement or compliance would be your zoning compliance officer. Or it could be planning committee too. When the plans for the building come in for a new building, you would look at that. And then if they wanted to, if they felt like they had to, they could file a board of zoning appeals variance if there was some reason they couldn't. It was undue burden to be able to do whatever it is. But it would depend on where you put your requirements. If you said flat out, this is what it has to be, that sort of takes it away from an architectural standpoint where they're creating a facade that they want you to consider, which you would want a VAR for that. But if the requirements are, the facade has to be made of such and such percentage, whatever it is, brick or whatever, party blank, whatever you decide, and that's going to be more like a building code type inspection. And they have to, according to what's in there.
What's next steps?
So, I'll have to go back to planning commission in February to comment. I'm hoping that we can do, if everything is good with planning commission, we have to do a 30-day notice for the public to be able to read this, put it on the website, wherever, another copy of City Hall in case anybody wants to read it. And then we'll do a public hearing, and then we will adopt it, or they'll make their recommendation, and then y'all would have 2 readings.
So you can do the public hearing
In what? I'm sorry, yes. And I'm hoping to do that in March if possible. So we're going to, at the next planning commission, we're going to talk about fences, what they can be, what they can't be, how they can be used, things like that, to be added into the general provisions of this. Shouldn't be too hard to write up real quick.
Because there is something in there.
Yeah.
There is something.
Very, very. So we'll talk about types and stuff like that. Mostly, when somebody calls me right now, it's just stay within the property line. Get right up to the property line if you need to, but don't mess with anything.
So that'll be done in next month's plan.
Yeah, we'll put that in the next one. It's on Gerald. It's on the list. It's on the